With so many different sports drinks on the market, it's difficult to know sometimes what is good for you and what is just a sugar drink disguised as something else. And we're all looking for that healthy liquid that tastes great and is good for us. Also, electrolyte deficiency or imbalances can cause headaches, cramps, fatigue, and weakness. Electrolytes also play a critical role in many other conditions and serve other functions, particularly our brain and mental health, breastfeeding, regulating appetite, and curbing cravings. Everyone needs electrolytes, especially those on low-carb diets, those who practice intermittent or extended fasting, those who are physically active, or simply the people who just sweat a lot. Sugar, artificial ingredients, colouring, etc., they're all unhealthy and unneeded, and there's none of any of those in LMNT. LMNT is the exclusive hydration partner to Team USA weightlifting and many Olympic athletes. Dozens of professional teams and players are on monthly LMNT subscriptions, and even members of the Special Forces use LMNT. Try it today totally risk-free, and if you don't like it, they'll give you your money back, no questions asked. Drink LMNT is a healthy alternative to sugary electrolyte drinks. Each grab-and-go stick pack replaces essential electrolytes with no sugar, no colouring, no artificial ingredients, or any other junk. When I drink LMNT, it's to support my post-workout or post-basketball hydration routine, and my favourite flavours are watermelon salt and mango chili. As a member of our community, LMNT has a very special offer for you. Claim your free LMNT sample pack. You only cover the cost of shipping. Get yours here at drinklmnt.com/nodunks.
Good morning, sweet world, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. It's Friday, July 30th. This is The Drop. I'm J.E. Skeets, rolling with the homie, Tass Mellis.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, Tass? Got our Top Shot Hot Boy in a new hat, looking fresh. Trey Kirby.
Yo.
Incredible. And last but not least, doing an admirable job all week long filling in for JD. It's Athletic podcast producer Andrew Schlecht. What's up, Andrew?
Hey guys, last day.
Are you happy or sad that this is your last day producing for No Dunks?
If you asked me at about 3 p.m. Central yesterday, I'd be like, I'm really glad that tomorrow's my last day. If you ask me right now, I'm a little sad.
Yeah.
Bittersweet.
It's fun doing the show live, isn't it? It's the post-production when things start to go wrong that can get a little maddening. Living the life of JD this past week. You've done a great job. Thanks so much. Unfortunately, the Oracle, Lee Ellis, not with us today. His, month-long vacation is finally coming to an end. He's flying back from Europe today, so we'll talk to him next week.
Would have been impossible to predict the day after the draft, Skeets. No way to possibly figure it out.
That's right. That's right. Shout out to the stream team joining us live right now on YouTube. Of course, smash that like button, leave a comment below the vid, subscribe. Keep sending in your questions and comments for the next Beach Steppin' podcast. Email them in, nodunks@theathletic.com, and go grab yourself some No Dunks merch over at nodunks.com. Dropped some new shirts earlier this week for you stream teamers, so go grab those. Okay, fun drop here. We're going to do our NBA draft, winners, losers, our favorite moments, all of that. But first, we had a blockbuster deal go down on Thursday, so let's quickly turn to the Southern Lawyer.
We got ourselves a trade.
Yeah, we do. The Wizards traded Russell Westbrook and some second-round picks in 2024 and 2028 to the Lakers for Kyle Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Montrezl Harrell, and the number 22 overall pick, which turned out to be Isaiah Jackson, and that got moved to the Indiana Pacers. Early in the day, it was reported that Harrell was going to opt into the final year of that about $10 million contract in order to make the books work for this deal. So here we go, Tass. Westbrook in LA with AD and LeBron. Are you a fan of this move from the Lakers side? And then, of course, we'll talk about the Wizards side of things, too. What do you think?
Well, kind of like Andrew's feelings about producing this show, I was a bit of a roller coaster. I mean, I started high.
Yeah.
This is Russell frickin' Westbrook joining LeBron James. Of course, you got to be excited. This is LA. He's going home. The drama of it all. At the same time, there's some downsides to this. So, like positives, he replaces Dennis Schroeder. People will say, well, look, Dennis Schroeder just wasn't great for them. Dennis Schroeder got the ball, needed to make a play in the playoffs. He couldn't do that. Russell Westbrook should be able to do that. But on the downside here, I just don't think LeBron and Russ are going to fit in the postseason. Think about all the players that play around LeBron James throughout the years. Think about fourth quarters in the playoffs. Has there been a non-shooter around him, a guy who couldn't shoot? Think about it over the last decade. I can't think of one. Once you figured it out, you just play 4 shooters around LeBron. It should be LeBron, AD, and a bunch of guys that can shoot. So LeBron can just pick apart the defense, and those guys can fire away. I just worry because Russell Westbrook, as good as he is going to put up the numbers in the regular season. But when it comes to playoffs and a playoff series, teams are just going to lay off him. It happened when the Lakers won the title. They beat the Rockets and Russell Westbrook by just sagging off him. Mm-hmm. They weren't even guarding him whatsoever. So I think that just hurts LeBron. I mean, these two guys, LeBron and Westbrook, you kind of have to mold your team around them in different ways. Westbrook has to play with shooters. Westbrook has to have the ball. LeBron has to have shooters. And now you're putting them on the same team when they both need to have the ball. Anthony Davis also has to have the ball. I just look at all the playoffs over the last 4 or 5 years or so, and Russ just hasn't been a very good shooter. Mm-hmm. He's gotten the numbers, but just look at the stats. He just really hasn't been all that good. So the regular season, they should be fine, but I think there's going to be some problems here. They just get old. I mean, Russell Westbrook's going to be 33 this year. LeBron is going to be 37 in December. That's pretty old. Their depth is a problem now. You traded away Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who led the team in 3-pointers when they won the championship last year. Kuzma, who was a good role player, and Montrezl Harrell, combined with Schroeder, that's 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 7th in minutes on this team. So who's playing around them? Alex Caruso, Talen Horton-Tucker. They got half a team right now. Yeah. You kind of force Anthony Davis to play center like all the frickin' time now because you need more space for LeBron and Russ. Because Russ is a non-shooter. So I think the regular season is going to be fine. They're going to win a bunch of games, but in the postseason, I hope it works for them because I kind of want to see Russ lifting the Larry O'Brien when it's all said and done, get his first one. But those two dudes just don't seem to mix, even though it's cool to see them smoking cigars together and then being buddies. I don't know how it's going to work in the playoffs.
You're skeptical. What about you, Trey?
I'm old enough to remember when Kyle Kuzma and Montrezl Harrell were traded for Buddy Hield earlier in the day, and that seemed like a better fit to me, getting the shooter out there and Hield. The guy's just got to jack it up, but obviously that didn't go through. And, I think Tass really nailed it here. This, to me, is about preserving LeBron in the regular season. But the fit is going to be very similar to LeBron's first season with the Lakers when they brought in, Lance Stevenson, right? They're like, we need extra creators here so LeBron doesn't have to do anything. He had the first big injury of his career this last season, so clearly he wants to be ready and raring when it's playoff time. As we saw, the Lakers just had too much on their plate for LeBron and AD over the course of the season. When they both went down with injuries, things fell off. The thing you got to love about Westbrook is during the regular season, he's bringing the intensity and the effort every single night. Even when the Lakers were balling last year, the first half of the season, it was like they would slack for 3/4 of a game, turn it on in the fourth quarter to win. That's a stressful way to play, and it played out over the season. They couldn't keep it up. So this gives them the night-to-night energy that is going to elevate them during the regular season and save LeBron. I think we're going to be looking at LeBron's best 3-point shooting season of his career. He's going to be one of the shooters on the Lakers. His percentages are going up as his career goes on. He made the most 3-pointers per game last year, and I think we'll see a little bit more of that as he saves himself during the regular season. And we also just saw the Bucks win a championship. Game 6, they made 6 3-pointers. You can find shooters eventually. Every shooter is going to want to play with Westbrook and LeBron James, so I think that they will sort that out over the course of the offseason. But it's going to look weird, and when it looks bad, it's going to look really bad, I think.
Oh, yeah, though. I can't wait for the Lakers to get Wayne Ellington on the roster.
This man loves Wayne Ellington.
He's coming to L.A. for sure. Yeah, I think I saw Pelton write with that whole 3-point shooting that you guys are talking about. LeBron's the only Lakers player under contract for next season that hit 100 threes because Kuzma's gone and Caldwell-Pope is gone. Both of those guys had 137 and 120 made threes, respectively. And yeah, Westbrook is not a 3-point shooter. That's not breaking news. He's great in transition. He's totally fine as a playmaker, of course. Still, we saw him, work well enough with Harden. So, two ball dominant guys. But yeah, in a playoff series, I'm with you, Tass. It's like, wow, we know how teams are going to play him. And can he turn into Rondo for a postseason where Rondo suddenly couldn't miss 3-pointers? I'm skeptical.
Maybe,
I'm skeptical because he'll try. Russ is going to take a couple early in the shot clock or late in the game. And my goodness, I can't wait to see how Westbrook and LeBron, the barking back and forth. Does that occur here with this team? Because they're both feisty and they both want to win, but they're not afraid of each other in terms of like a pecking order or stuff like that. This is fascinating. There are reports, Andrew, that I saw from the LA Times that the three got together, AD, LeBron, and Russ, and said, hey, of course, let's do this together. And in order to do it, AD reportedly said, well, I got to play 5. Like you said, Tass, like I got to be the 5 on this squad, really lean into that. LeBron, I got to be the 4. I'll be the power forward. Like if they truly embrace that and these guys can stay healthy, which is the huge wild card with all of this, all 3 of them, if we're being honest, then maybe if you get the right pieces around them. But are you surprised with this? Do you think they should have went with the healed route? What do you think?
Yeah, I think they should have gone with Buddy. One, because Russ has never been on a team that wasn't his team. Like eventually every single team becomes his. The Rockets eventually became his. They traded Clint Capella because they didn't think he could play with Russ. He gets to Washington. Like that is clearly Russell Westbrook's team.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bradley Beal's like stepping back. Okay, you can have it. Like this is your team. We're going to play like a Westbrook team. So now obviously you get to the Lakers with LeBron James and it's still got to be LeBron James' team, right?
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. He kind of shared it. He kind of shared it with Harden and Houston. I worry more about Anthony Davis. Like, I think he is going to share the ball with LeBron. I just worry about AD kind of being the third guy. But to your point, he's been a 1 or a 1A guy with Beal, with Harden, with Durant. But is he going to be a strict number 3 guy? That's a huge change for him. Now, like maybe this, pardon the buddy pun, but maybe him being buddies with LeBron and AD just kind of, I don't know, makes him believe that he can, be more of a supporting player. It's just strange to think that Russ can ever be that kind of guy. And then the whole health thing, there will be a drop off one day for Russell Westbrook. And we kind of saw it at the beginning of last year. He was not very good for a couple months. And it felt like Russell Westbrook, might be hitting that cliff here because it is going to come at some point. But then he turned it on like he did the year before. Kudos to him. He played great the last couple months. But now we're asking him to be that guy who plays a lot during the regular season and then still be great in the playoffs when he hasn't been able to put those 2 things together over the last few years. So that's the strange part to me. It's going to be a really top-heavy team. Yeah, they're going to find shooters, but they're going to rely on those guys a lot. And you're going to tell Anthony Davis you got to play a more difficult position, more minutes. And then LeBron has also been hurt. So you're really relying on stuff that just hasn't happened the last few years. And yeah, as Andrew pointed out, Russ to take on a whole new role with this team.
Yeah. And you said, like, I get what your point is, like making Westbrook into more of a supporting player, but they just traded 3 supporting players for Russell Westbrook to really not be that, I assume, to be, the Westbrook star that we have. But he does sort of need to take a little bit of a backseat. And the other thing is, like, he doesn't play defense at all. He's not good defensively.
Yeah, but the Lakers are. That right? Like the Lakers were good defensively last year. The last two NBA champions have had good defenses and shoot a ton of layups. I think that's going to be the case for the Lakers, right? Like Davis isn't going to just become a 3-point shooter. LeBron's not just going to become a 3-point shooter. Westbrook, you don't want him to be a 3-point shooter. They're going to be living at the rim, playing defense, and the other guys they find are just going to have to make threes and stick their guy defensively. I mean, it's going to be so strange. The first half of the season is going to be really awkward for the Lakers. They'll probably come out of the gate not looking great because that's how it is with Russell Westbrook. We saw that with the Rockets. We saw that with the Wizards. He kind of takes a back seat to start, and then you got to figure out a way to really get him involved in your team. But I don't know. It's just like wins start at the rim. And I think that everybody understands that. And that's clearly what the Lakers are focused on here. How do you stop a LeBron AD pick and roll? People don't really know that yet. Now you're throwing in a Westbrook and AD pick and roll, maybe a Westbrook and LeBron pick and roll. There's a lot of options the Lakers have. And, when it comes down to it in the playoffs, you play like 6 or 7 guys anyways when it really matters. So they only got to find a couple here.
They only have 4 guys right now, but they only got to get a couple more. You're right.
It's all right. Lee Ellis is flying there. They need shooters. That's where he is right now, heading to LA. But I don't know. I'm more confident than some people just because I think that LeBron tends to be able to mold his talent to what his teams need. Sometimes it's a post-up guy. Sometimes it's a three-point shooter.
It'll be fascinating to watch, man. Look, Andrew, you said you liked if you were the Lakers, you would prefer a Buddy Hield, maybe because he's younger, obviously the shooting and all that. But as an NBA fan, this is what we want, right? Westbrook with LeBron and AD to see whether it can work or blows up in their faces spectacularly. I mean, it's just you can't write this stuff. Westbrook going home to LA, like Taz said, it's the drama, man. It's the league never stops.
There's nothing cooler than Westbrook in a purple and gold Lakers jersey right now. I think that is going to look amazing. And then plus the idea of potentially getting a Lakers Nets finals, like KD and Russ, at the back end of their careers. I mean, who wouldn't want to watch that? So there's a lot of juice to this trade, certainly.
Oh yeah. Or LeBron versus KD, and then you'd have Harden versus Russ and maybe we get
the
some
storylines are
AD and Kyrie
incredible.
Yeah, for sure. But that's a long way away, and they got to fill out this roster, and they don't have a lot of work with. So I'm fascinated to see who they get and who they try and bring into this team, and whether they can remain an elite defense. And again, how many games do these guys even play? That's the huge ultimate wild card to me, especially with AD. LeBron will take off a week or two here, I'm sure, and that's fine. Westbrook will, in theory, carry them, but AD's if they have a healthy AD, he's top 5 player in the league. And then, then you have a real chance to win a title. But can't wait. Let's talk about the Wizards side of things, though, Tass. What did you think about their move in obviously shipping out Westbrook, the pieces they got, and reports that it's pleasing Bradley Beal, and this is, help or a confidence boost in them keeping him?
I'm not quite as confident in that boost that people have implied. Shams Charania reported that sources say Bradley Beal is feeling good, feeling like he wants to stick around. I trust Lee Ellis' sources more than I do Shams in this instance here because because I think Bradley Beal can flip real quick. I think that's pretty evident, and the Wizards kind of did too. They got a number 22 pick in yesterday's draft as a part of this package from LA. And then they turned around and they traded that pick for Aaron Holiday, who is a role player in this league. But now you've just got a crap ton of role players around Bradley Beal. So how's Bradley Beal going to feel? I don't know how Bradley Beal will feel. Maybe his sources, Bradley Beal kind of got everybody off his back. That's what I felt like to me that comment was. Just get off my back. Stop asking me these frickin' questions. And then in a couple months, he can still demand a trade. I think he'll just see how free agency goes. But in my mind, looking at this team and the composition, now it's Bradley Beal. Second best player is probably Rui Hachimura. They drafted Corey Kispert, another Zag who can shoot that thing. Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, Davis Bertans, Thomas Bryant, and Denny Avdia.
It's a weird
it's just a real MOR situation. Can you be excited about that?
MOR middle of the road?
Yep.
Nice, man. I didn't know you were programming AM radio in the 1990s. I'm loving it. Bring back the bullets. Yeah. They got shooters. But I'm with you, Tass. You brought in KCP, Montrezl Harrell, and Kyle Kuzma. That's supposed to be more enticing than playing next to all-NBA Russell Westbrook. I'm not buying it. What's the ceiling now for the Wizards? The 8th seed? Again, do they get much better than that? This team might make a little bit more sense. Harrell's going to be a great role guy, I think, for Bradley Beal if he ends up staying there in Washington. Obviously, they got the shooters out there as well. And you got to give a little tip of the cap to the GM, because he turned John Wall's contract, maybe the worst contract in the league, into Russell Westbrook for one season. He came in, set the Wizards triple-double record literally in 1 year, and now he's out of there. And the Wizards do have a little bit more flexibility here, which is nice because, you know, they just hired a first-time head coach, and while Beal may be saying the right things now, who knows how this ends up going, and who knows if the Wizards actually take any sort of a step forward. And if that's the case, and he does ask out, now you've got cap flexibility plus whatever sort of return you get for a potential Beal trade.
Yeah, they're probably not done making moves here, and there's more flexibility. Andrew, from the Wizards side of things, what do you think? How would you grade it on getting rid of Russ yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, this is like a C level trade.
Because of the players coming back to Washington.
Yeah. I mean, Russ basically said, I want to be a Laker. And they'll say, hey, we'll make that happen in whatever way is possible. And we will take back whoever we have to take. And I kind of hate that for them. Like, that kind of sucks. I don't love the trade for them. I don't love all these players. I think that I don't know how much we would know about these players, how much like casual fans would know about all these players if they weren't Lakers. Like, how much would the average fan know about like KCP and Kyle Kuzma if they had just
a lot less
on Detroit or something like that? So I don't love it for them. I don't love it for Beal. Beal wants to be loyal so badly to the Wizards and wants to stay so badly, but they haven't given him a ton of reasons to want to stay. So I'm interested to see how it works. I am also very skeptical.
I like it because they got off Westbrook, who's going to be making $47 million next year. And guess what? The Wizards are going to have the exact same record that they had this past year. Fine. Good. And you can lean into some of these younger guys more. Hachimura, Avdia. You know, Beal's the big question mark. If he ultimately decides, I don't want to play with these guys, then they will look to trade him and they'll get something good in return to really blow it up. But otherwise, if he's content, maybe even signs his extension and surprises us all once again, which is there, then it's okay. I mean, I don't think they're going to win a title by any means, but they weren't doing that with Westbrook and Beal. So I actually sort of like it. Yeah, I'm fascinated to see a guy like Kyle Kuzma on a team that's not the Lakers. It's a great point. Like, he played really hard for LA last year. He actually played some defense, did sort of the dirty work a little bit, which you really don't think of at least earlier in his career that Kuzma would do, but he sort of turned into that and found a little bit of a role. But like, guy can score. Like, could Kyle Kuzma score 20 points per game on a team that's not LA, that's not led by LeBron and AD? I sort of think so.
He could easily score 20 points per game on a 10th seed in the Eastern Conference.
Probably, right? So yeah,
basically already did that a couple of years ago. He scored 19 per game
with the Lakers.
Yeah, with
as
the number 2 guy to LeBron, that season.
Okay, then sure.
Yeah, he can. But, does that mean that they're a good team? You know, Kuz he's a streaky man. He proved that he could be a role player on a championship team. They got there, even though, people say he's overpaid. His social media profile is maybe a little too big for his skill set or whatever. But he can help out on a good team. I just think that, the last few years, Russell Westbrook's been traded 3 times. So you go from a package that included Chris Paul in 2019 to John Wall last year to a bunch of role players, which, the Wizards kind of picked a direction here, but did they? That's my sort of qualms with this thing. It's just, they got a draft pick, then they trade it away because you just want the most role players possible. Like, just call them the Washington role players. Like, that's up and down the freaking roster. Like, you get off Russell Westbrook's contract, which is good. But I just hope that Russ, I don't know, somehow has just 1 year, just decides to be amazing for 1 more year, because I worry about that cliff and when it's going to happen. Because even last year, people think, oh yeah, he can get to the lane and get to the rim. He stopped going to the rim a lot. When he got to the rim, he passed it off. He took the fewest shots in both his regular season and playoffs at the rim of his career. So I don't know. I'm not feeling it for either. So he's one of those rare trades. I usually buy into trades, but this one I'm just like, yuck on both sides. Pretty yucky.
Hey, I'll tell you what, Montrezl Harrell is maybe the biggest surprise of all of this. Like, opting into that, again, just under $10 million deal. He is going to, I think, put up monster numbers for the Wizards to try and get a payday. So watch for him and the stats that he's going to put up if he gets a chance there in Washington, and he should. I know they got some other talented bigs in Gafford and Hachimura and stuff like that, but that was just perplexing a little bit to me. I didn't see that part coming, like, because he had to do this in order to help them out. So, is there a favor? Is he going back to the Lakers?
I think he's a clutch guy, isn't he? Isn't Montrezl Harrell a clutch guy, as is Kuzma? Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
It's a contract year, I think, for him. I think he looks at it and says, I am going to put up huge numbers, so here comes my big contract.
I think you're right. And he didn't have a good year like this last year, and I don't know what he would have been making more than $10 million. I'm sure he would have got that on the market, but I don't think it would have been a huge pay increase. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's going to ball out. He's going to get paid, I think. We'll see. The Wizards are still going to be the 7th, 8th, 9th, or 10th seed. I mean, they lock it in.
No doubt.
For sure. In the Eastern Conference, for sure. I don't see how they wouldn't, if they're all there, and Beal, of course, is there. Any final thoughts on this Wizards-Lakers trade? Andrew, anything that we're missing that you wanted to address here?
No, I'm kind of with Tass. Gross. A little gross.
Gross. Wow. TK, anything?
Skeets, you were saying that Westbrook's going to look great in the gold jerseys. What do you think about the purples? Nobody ever photoshops a Laker into a purple uniform. Straight for the gold, baby.
Yeah. Andrew said it here on the show. We were talking about it right before we jumped on, that I was excited because you already see the photoshops, and there's actually a photo of Westbrook wearing a gold Kobe Bryant jersey. I think that was down in the bubble there that he was rocking that. It looks awesome, the gold. Yeah, purple? Yeah, no, I'm not as high on it. There's a reason you're not seeing it photoshopped. They should just wear the gold all year long.
Strictly gold.
Yeah, or whites on Sunday too. Do they still do that? I don't know. You can't tell anymore. Usually wear white on the road now.
Yeah, and what's the other thing? A lot of people are speculating that DeMar DeRozan could also eventually head to the Lakers, right? I think he would have to sign a mid-level extension, which would be a pretty low deal for DeMar DeRozan after being pretty solid with the Spurs. But, if he wants to challenge for a championship, that's a place that people are going to be looking at, obviously. He's not a shooter at all. That would be another strange fit, another guy who just wants to shoot layups and 18-footers, but... talent is talent, I suppose.
Can't wait to see if it works and how it works. And yeah, these teams are probably not done, both the Lakers and the Wizards, in terms of who they acquire and the moves that they possibly make in terms of flipping other guys. Okay, we'll call it there for the Westbrook to the Lakers trade. Amazing stuff. The NBA always delivers. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll do our NBA draft recap, winners and losers. If you're like me, a busy man who hates spelling mistakes, you have no doubt experienced taking forever to craft the perfect email. It can take a ridiculous amount of time. Double checking turns into triple checking. Triple checking turns into quadruple checking. Quadruple checking turns into help me out, Grammarly. Shut up, Lee. Help me out, Grammarly. Quincifer. What'd you say it was, Lee? You're a Grammarly guy.
Quintuple.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, sure. Quintuple? I don't know.
Quintuple.
Yeah. Quadruple checking turns into quintuple checking. Lee, see, that's why. Perfectly played, Ellis. We didn't even practice that. So why not save yourself doubt and time on emails, messages, projects with real-time suggestions from Grammarly Premium? It just helps you work more efficiently. They hit you with clarity suggestions. What does that mean? Well, Grammarly Premium helps you get your message across quickly without repeated or unnecessary words. Vocabulary suggestions. No more searching for synonyms. I used to do that all the time. Now Grammarly Premium's right there, offering great suggestions. So I'm not always using the same words and phrases. I do on the podcast. I repeat myself every day. I mean, you guys do it too. We all got our 3, 4, 5, just things that you can't help but say. But, it helps.
For sure.
Yeah,
we need Grammarly for our voices.
Right?
You may want to replace for sure with that's right.
Man, it works, guys. It definitely works. Not with speech, but yeah, when you're writing things. GP, that's what I call it, can also help with clarity checks, tone, and plagiarism. So cut down on editing time and write more confidently with Grammarly Premium. Get 20% off Grammarly Premium by signing up at Grammarly.com/nodunks. That's 20% off at GRAMARLY.com/nodunks.
A subject that can be uncomfortable to talk about, but you really need to discuss, is life insurance. Because if someone relies on you for financial support, you need life insurance. And to properly provide for their families, most people need 10 times the life insurance coverage. Policy Genius makes it easy to compare quotes from over a dozen top insurers all in one place. You can save 50% or more on life insurance by comparing quotes with Policy Genius. You could save $1,300 or more per year on life insurance by using Policy Genius to compare policies. The licensed experts at Policy Genius work for you, not the insurance companies, so you can trust them to help you navigate every step of the shopping and buying process. And eligible applicants can get covered in as little as a week thanks to an award-winning policy option that swaps the standard medical exam requirement for a simple phone call. Getting started is easy. Just go to policygenius.com. In minutes, you can work out how much life insurance coverage you need and compare personalized quotes to find your best price. When you're ready to apply, the Policy Genius team will handle the paperwork and scheduling for free, and Policy Genius never sells your information to other companies. I love hearing that. Head to policygenius.com to get started right now. Policy Genius. When it comes to insurance, it's nice to get it right.
Back with no dunks. Let's get into our NBA draft recap. First things first. If I mess up some players' names, if we mess up some players' names, apologies to those players. Apologies to those fans of those players. We are still learning here. We'll figure them out. Don't you worry. And if we don't touch on your favorite team or your favorite prospect or whatever, apologies for that as well. We're not going through this one by one. Okay. This isn't it's not going to be that boring. So we're not going to get to everything. I just want to get that out of the way first. Like, that's boring. I'm sorry.
We're not making a boring podcast.
Yeah, no, we're just not. So though, our first question about the NBA draft is the biggest winner. We'll do winners, losers, favorite moments, and stuff like that. And I'll get us started because there is no doubt, guys. I think you would all agree with me that the biggest winner from last night's draft was our very own Lee Ellis, who is the new Woj. He is the new Shams. If you didn't join us yesterday for our great podcast with John Hollinger, at the end of the show, I'm talking like the final minute of the podcast, Lee suddenly gets a DM and says, hey guys, I got a scoop. So again, if you missed it, we're going to play it here. Here's Lee Ellis on yesterday's podcast calling a shot. Love it. All right.
Hey, listen, before we go, tonight's the draft, and obviously tonight it's all about Woj. He's not allowed to tip the picks. You know that because he's at ESPN, but of course he does the lasered in and focused on and hard to resist.
Shams is going to kick his ass anyway, right?
Well, just as the show's been happening, I've actually got someone in my DM saying Josh Giddey is apparently going to be taken number 6 by the Thunder tonight. Apparently, they've been super impressed. And listen,
Andrew, come on back here. Lee Ellis and his multiple spots.
Listen. I know this is my only chance. If it goes wrong, if I get it wrong, okay, fine. I'll never have another tip again. But this, I can say that I'm only bringing this up because the person who's coming from, I'm like, extremely reliable source.
Okay.
Yeah. So
we'll see. Chris Broussard.
No, it's not.
People are
apparently the head coach and owner were at his workout on Tuesday and were super impressed from him. 2 assistants flew in as well.
Oh my God, the man did it. He called it. There he is, Ostradamus. He nailed it. It's unbelievable. I was losing my mind, laughing hysterically that Lee's secret DM there on Instagram ended up being right with Josh Giddey going to OKC at number 6.
Amazing.
Called it. And he's the winner of the draft. It made the draft exciting to me. I actually usually hate the draft. I was like, I'm all in. Lee Ellis is getting his multiple sources there down in Australia. I guess every Australian knows each other. That is true. And he got this one right, TK. He called it.
Yep, and apparently he's retired. He said he's 1 for 1, dipping out now.
Smart.
Maybe we'll be able to get him back if there's another Australian prospect who happens to have a father that Lee watched play 100,000 years ago in Australia. I don't know who his sources are, but every Australian knows every Australian who has played basketball down there, and apparently they're passing word along, and it's very accurate.
Usually I would think guacamole is Lee Ellis's favorite sauce, but now his new favorite sauce is this guy. Whoever sent him a DM, I'm just happy. Finally, for once, this checking of a phone during the show paid off.
Yeah, right.
Because Lee's really good at while we're working here, while we're doing a show. even 10, 15 minutes left. He's like, all right, I'm just going to send tomorrow's Google Doc for the show during the show. So he's occupied, but this worked out. I'm happy that this actually paid off. That's amazing. I know that guacamole isn't a sauce, everybody. Of course, I wouldn't call it a sauce, but it's a frickin' sauce. Just kidding.
So Andrew, I think you said you were at a draft party, like a viewing party last night in OKC?
We had a down to dunk draft party last night.
Okay. What did the crowd do when Lee Ellis called Josh Giddey at number 6 to your team?
People are very excited. Lots of people patting me on the back like, Lee did it. Can't believe Lee did it. It's amazing. It's
incredible. It really is incredible. He's 1 for 1. And there was actually 2 things correct in that little clip we played from yesterday's show. I also said Shams was going to kick Woj's ass. I think he sort of took care of business there last night when it came to teasing the picks in advance. But anyway, had to have some fun there. Lee will be back on Monday. I'm sure we'll get some gloating in with him nailing that pick there, Giddey to OKC. But Trey, biggest winner of the draft, now that we've had some fun with Lee's prediction there, who are you giving it to?
Well, I got to give a quick tip of the cap to the Chicago Bulls drafting Ayo Dosunmu from Illinois, a Chicago-born player, the first one and the only other one since 1985 besides Derrick Rose for the Chicago Bulls. You know I was happy to see that, Skeets. Also happy to see back-to-back guys named Trey in the draft. But I'm not reaching too far for my winners here. First winner, the Detroit Pistons. They picked the best player in the draft at number 1 after some debate that maybe they could go for a trade down and get another guy who's really good. But they took the number 1 guy with the number 1 pick. They got a stud. Cade Cunningham wants to put Detroit back on the map. He said after the draft last night, we're going to restore the Pistons and bring that greatness back to Detroit. He's instantly the face of the franchise, and it looks like he's really going to be thriving there. He showed up with Cartier buffs for his interviews, a Detroit staple. It appears he already has a nickname, Motorcade. I will personally be saying American Muscle when we refer to him because of Too Fast, Too Furious. Okay. Nonetheless, Motorcade is good.
Not bad.
It feels like the beginning of a new era for the Pistons. They had a solid season last year. You know, the team wasn't that great, but Jeremy Grant turned out to be a nice signing for the team. Their rookies all look pretty solid, and now they've got a guy who's getting compared to Grant Hill, a great Detroit Piston. So I'm loving that. And also my second winner, not reaching any further, Skeets, the Rockets. They picked Jalen Green at number 2. That was a guy that was a potential number 1 pick as well. They cashed in a couple of their picks, got Alperen Şengün, who was mocked very high, and they got him at 16, and then they added Usman Garuba a little bit later there. I think Sam Vecini said those 3 were in his top 11 on his big board, and the Rockets got all of them. So, you know, Green looks like he could be a star. Şengün, they're saying the guy could challenge for Rookie of the Year this year, perhaps a 20-point-per-game scorer, and Garuba maybe the best defender in the draft. Pretty good for Raphael Stone.
Yeah, I think if you were following along with Hollinger and his sort of live reactions to the draft on The Athletic last night, go to theathletic.com/nodunks, get yourself a subscription if you don't have one. He just kept saying, Şengün. Mm-hmm. Why aren't these teams taking him? Like, there are a lot of people very, very high on the Turkish kid. We'll see. I think you're right, though. You're just not overthinking it. Pistons, Rockets, 1-2. And then especially the other picks that the Rockets managed to pull off there last night. Big winners. I see them on a lot of people's lists. What about you, Tass? Who's your big winner from the draft last night?
Well, yeah, I was following along, too, on the Athletics live blog. I just got to mention that a lot of people complaining about the TV broadcast. Stop talking about tweets and Twitter and your apps. I really enjoyed the Athletic live blog. I mean, the app, this isn't just company man here. I don't know. The app just really improved. The live blog feature, because the frickin' draft is long, even if it's the shortest of the major drafts, just like basketball was shorter. I mean, they were firing through. Like Cunningham came up, bang, made the pick. Rockets got up to the podium. They didn't take their 5 minutes. Bang, made the pick. It was going pretty fast, but you need some secondary screening. And I was doing that with the Athletic. I was actually, it's very nice to read. Okay, nice. Enough with the company talk. Similar to Trey. Detroit, you got Cunningham on the board. You freaking take him. I think the Orlando Magic made the right pick when Jalen Suggs fell to them at number 5. Mm-hmm. I know Raptors fans were very angry they didn't get him at 4, but let's just go to the Magic here for a sec. Jalen Suggs made a lot of big shots. I know nothing about college basketball, but the guy can score. He also can set up guys. He seems like, one of those, throw out the word, winners. He just makes basketball plays. He's good. 14, 5, and almost 5 assists in college is pretty freaking special. So they made the right pick there, even though they've got a ton of guards in Orlando. They've got Markelle Fultz signed to a long-term deal. They've got Cole Anthony. They just picked the best player available, so they didn't screw up. Your team isn't great. You're not drafting for fit. This isn't the 20s you're drafting in here, so just draft the best player available. Home run right there. And then they had the Bulls pick, Trey, that they acquired in the Vucevic deal at number 8. Now, they could have gone with Sengun, as Trey was mentioning there, but they went with Franz Wagner, who is a little brother of Mo Wagner. Both played at Michigan. Franz, he's a beefy 6'9", and I like this brother-brother combination here if Mo re-signs with Orlando. I know, Skeets, you tweeted, I had no idea Mo Wagner was on the Orlando Magic.
I totally forgot he finished the season in Orlando, and they were not doing a good job on the broadcast of at least reminding us of that, I thought, too.
Yeah.
I'm an NBA sicko, and I forgot. And it's like, you might want to tell, like, hey, his brother is actually, or was on the team. You're right, Taz. Who knows if he'll be there? But, that's a nice little anecdote to share. Would you not share that?
For sure, yeah. I think they just had still images of them hanging out, and you kind of had to do the Mo math there to figure it out on your own. Right. They didn't spell it out for us, they do have some time to kill, so they could have spelled that out. But he is a free agent. But I do like this brother pushing of each other. I'm not saying it's an Antetokounmpo brother situation. They're winning the championship, but Mo makes fun of Franz on Twitter. He makes fun of him, saying, I think Franz tweeted, I wonder where I'll end up tonight. And then Mo hit him back and said, hopefully in a social media course, you dummy. So some good stuff there. And if you're watching Mo play for Germany right now, I know Mo is sort of he's kind of an afterthought in the NBA right now, but he's playing for Germany. He's balling, and he did some work with the Magic last year. I think they got a little combination there that is going to be good for a while. Now, I always get excited about one young team that hasn't really done anything, and this is my team. I'm getting excited about Jonathan Isaac and Terrence Ross and Wendell Carter and RJ Hampton. And so I think they have some pieces. Now, it's going to be hard to put it all together, but I think it's a start of something. They picked an avenue when they traded Vucevic, and they're rolling with it. Unlike the Wizards, they're going with it. So I think they had a good night anyway.
How shocked were you, Andrew, that the Raptors, I don't want to say passed, but ultimately went with Barnes over Suggs, who most people thought was going to go to them at 4? Although, Hollinger had talked up Barnes. We've seen many other people say, no. Masai and Bobby Webster in Toronto, they might grab him, and they ultimately did. But were you shocked, or were you like, you understand the reasoning?
I don't know that I was shocked, because there was like some smoke there that they really did like Scotty Barnes, but the fit with Jalen Suggs just makes so much sense. I think that's probably why Raptors fans are upset. It's like this: you lose Kyle Lowry if he is indeed gone this offseason. The talk about the fit with Jalen Suggs and Fred VanVleet is like, that's a nice fit. Like, why wouldn't you take him? And he's second, especially if you're like Sam Vecini lovers. He's second on Sam Vecini's board. Right. Sam Vecini thinks this guy's got like the second highest ceiling. Like, he's going to make an immediate impact. So yeah, I was a little surprised to see them actually do it. It's pretty ballsy.
Yeah, my mind immediately went to something that Hollinger was saying on the show yesterday. It was like, if they sort of go the direction of Barnes, does that mean that there is a Siakam deal in the works, and that they look to move him and to get other pieces back? I don't know what you thought, Tass, as a Raps fan. That's what I started thinking. Like, is that what this means? Obviously, nothing has happened yet, and maybe it doesn't. Maybe they're just like, nope, we've got all the wingspan on the wing that a team could want. We made OG and Pascal Siakam into shooters, because that's Scotty Barnes' like one, fault. He can't shoot at all, or he hasn't proven that he can shoot. But we can do a good job of turning him into that, and he does everything else well, because he's an incredible defender and he's a bit of a playmaker. But what do you think with that pick while we're talking Barnes and Suggs there at 4-5?
I get the pain of not taking Suggs, because they kind of need with all this length around them, just a guy who can score. Frankly, just put it on the floor and score. And so it still feels like, even though they got Scotty Barnes and he's got a lot of potential, and it's great to have a guy in the league that spells Scotty Scottie. That just means you're freaking good. You've got potential. If you got a Scotty with an IE, feels like Pippen. They asked him about it. Or you're kind of you're in the Scottie Pippen mold. Your name's Scotty. He's like, yeah, I guess. Compare me. I don't care. I know he's top 50 or whatever, but he's got so much confidence. And I understand Raptors fans just looking at him and thinking he doesn't have the ability to score, but just watch the tape. I think he has touch. He is not a shooter, but as you mentioned, some of those guys that they've turned into shooters in OG and Pascal, and what they did with Fred VanVleet as well, turning him into an amazing player. And even further down the list, I believe, and I'm excited to see, kind of like the experiment we see in the Lakers, exciting. I mean, if you've got like 5 Pascal Siakams on the floor with Siakam and OG Anunoby and Scotty Barnes, that's pretty cool to watch. So I guess as Andrew said, maybe the ceiling is higher, the floor is probably lower, but I just believe in the Raptors and the way they develop players. So yeah, it's fascinating, but to pick the bigger guy, the defensive guy, and even those clips, again, to me, of a draft noob, a college noob, I think he has touch. I think he has footwork. I think he has that ability. So if he gets a shooting coach and the ability to develop him, I do believe.
Andrew, what about you for an NBA draft winner? Is there a team, a player? What do you got?
The Hornets didn't have great position in this draft, but I feel like they got some really nice players. James Bouknight at 11. Kind of fell to them. He was what some people thought was a late riser, and he kind of ended up being where people thought he would be about 3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So he's a really nice scorer that they can put next to LaMelo. They got Kai Jones, a big man that they can develop alongside this young core. And they got JT Thor. I don't know if he's going to be any good, but he's got the best name in the
yeah, and I know we'll get to it in a second, but got themselves a Plum Dog millionaire too, with Plumlee coming over in the trade from Detroit. That could mean, I guess, Cody Zeller's gone, and you just, when you lose a Zeller, you got to get a Plumlee, right? TK, that's what you do.
From a Zeller to a Plumlee sounds about white. But a great move to get Kai Jones as well, right? Because the Hornets, they've got a ton of guards. That's why I was a little surprised to see him take Bouknight. It's like, you're drafting Malik Monk again? Okay, fair enough. You've got Devontae Graham as well there. Meanwhile, LaMelo's going to be the main ball handler, and Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward is your highest paid player. He's going to need to handle the ball a bit there. There's a lot of duplication. They needed a big guy, as they had for quite some time. So Kai Jones, bit of a developmental player, but a crazy athlete. And if he turns into anything, if he turns into Nerlens Noel, if he turns into Jackson Hayes, that really helps the Hornets.
All right, let's go to biggest loser from last night. And again, look, we don't really know anything. Nobody knows anything, if we're being honest, but you got to pick a team to maybe sort of crap on here a little bit, or at least to say, whoa, that was weird, Tass. Was there one that sticks out to you from last night as a loser, or at least a perplexing decision?
Yeah, I could be a loser for making this loser pick in a couple of years, because Davion Mitchell looks like a winner. He played with Baylor. He won a championship. They won it all. Nice little flex by their coach coming on and having the trophy in the background as he was talking about Davion Mitchell. But I may be making a little bit of a reputation pick here. The Kangs stay the Kangs, but it was weird. If you followed along with Davion Mitchell and the media he was doing, he remarked about being surprised that he was picked by the Kings, and they asked him, did you work out for them? And he just kind of said, I don't want to discuss that. And so I just a little perplexed. Later on, he did say he came a little bit more clear about what happened, but they do have De'Aaron Fox. They do have Tyrese Halliburton. Mm-hmm. And I just said you pick the best player available. Maybe Davion Mitchell is the best player available, but he's also an older player. And when you have a graphic come up on ESPN that shows you, along with Rafael Araujo, who the Raptors pick in 2004, I'm showing this here for the YouTubers. It's the oldest guys amongst the top 10 picks in the last 20 drafts. And the guys are Hoffa in 2004 for the Raptors, 23 years of age and 316 days. Didn't work out. Ekpe Udoh, good dude. Didn't really work out, 23 plus. Wesley Johnson, didn't really work out. Another good dude. And then Davion Mitchell. I got this from our man, Mike Kaplan, friend of the show. He showed this to me because we had just been talking about Rafael Araujo earlier in the week. You don't want to be on that graphic whatsoever. So that's unfortunate. Unfortunate for the Kings. They missed out on trading Buddy Hield as well earlier in the day. So just that package of things, I'm just not sure. Like we just talked about, the Turkish big man. Why not throw him in there with the Kings instead of a guard that duplicates a lot of their skill sets? I don't know. This league's going smaller, but that's super small. Yeah. So I'm not sure why the Kings made that pick.
Trey, what about you? Which team had you scratching your head?
Well, the Raptors did have me scratching my head a little bit, but that's a potential loser if Suggs ends up being a straight up baller, right? But for me, there's not a lot of losers out there, but I'm going to go with the Knicks just because it seemed like they were going to have a somewhat more exciting draft. Spike Lee was there. He was excited for a pick. The Knicks had 2 late first rounders. Could have maybe just waited getting some guys who slipped out of the lottery. They could have packaged them together to get a higher pick. Instead, they traded down, picked up a future first, got a guy named Quentin Grimes at number 25. I like that. A very patient approach. Just didn't feel like the Knicks. It's probably the smart move, and it's going to play out fine to get, some sort of a role player who maybe can help play defense and knock down some threes late in the first round. But it seemed like the Knicks were going to try something a little bit more exciting, and they just went out there and looked like a normal basketball team, which has been working out pretty well for New York lately. So honestly, the smart move, but we want to see the Knicks do crazy stuff, man. I feel like Lee Ellis, that's what we want, right? That's what we want, them to do crazy things. But they played it cool. So, the buzz is always that the Knicks and Leon Rose are just going to draft a CAA guy from Kentucky. Did that happen? I don't think so. Change up.
Yeah. Andrew, what about you? Which team gets your, again, loser, a little harsh, but a team that you were like, come on, what are you guys doing? What are you thinking? Talk me through this.
Yeah. Don't do the trade before the draft is what I would say. And the Grizzlies did the trade before the draft. There were rumors that they wanted to get Josh Giddey at 10. That was kind of broadcasted out there. The Thunder obviously wanted him. Lee Ellis knew that the Thunder wanted him at 6. They don't get their guy. They end up taking Zaire Williams, who possibly could have been available at 17. So you take on all this salary, you trade Valanciunas, who was probably your best player all last season, to take a guy who had a really, truly awful season at Stanford and was a really nice high school player. He's got great measurables, but there was no evidence of him being a good player last year in college. And so I think if you're a Grizzlies player, the excitement that led up to the draft was certainly mitigated by the players that were taken before them and then taking Zaire Williams all the way up at 10.
Yeah, that's fair. What did you think of the Warriors last night, Andrew? Again, as our sort of resident draft expert, keeping their picks first off, 7 and 14, at least right now, and going with Kuminga and Moody as their 2.
Yeah, I love it. Those are 2 guys that I think that they were talking about both at 7. And so to get those guys at 7 and then at 14, I was a little bit surprised to see Moody fall as far as he did. I think it's great. I think that Moody can play right away. Nobody has any clue what Jonathan Kuminga will be as a pro, right? But at least I think that he's won at least today. And if there is some kind of Beal trade or another trade that they want to make, he holds a ton of value just because he is such a mystery man.
Right.
So I'm all in favor of what they did. They hold a ton of value today still. Because I think the Davion Mitchell pick at 9 is okay, how much value is that for the 9th pick? Probably not a ton. But it holds a ton of value. These could be players that fit in with the Warriors and what they want to do. Both of them project as shooters and scorers. I love it. I think it's great.
And then just while we're still talking about some of these teams and guys, your OKC Thunder. We made fun of Lee getting it right, his sources being plugged in, getting Giddey, but you guys trade away the 16th pick. Was the fan base at this party you were at last night overall happy with the direction you went on draft night? A little confused? What was the vibe?
It was way more confusion. I had way more people coming up to me saying, "Tell me how to feel." It was like the sentiment,
right? And what would you tell them?
I said getting 2 future firsts for the 16th pick in the draft is kind of outrageous.
Right.
I mean, that never really happens. Often you can get a future first. Maybe you don't like who's there at 16, so you just kick the can down the road. But you get the chance to have 2 first-round picks. And the protections on there, like people were freaking out about the protections. People were like, "Oh, those are fake firsts." Like they're not fake firsts. Like take a closer look, guys.
Right.
I think that Thunder fans and probably all NBA fans that are kind of watching the Thunder now are like, when is enough going to be enough?
Right.
Because the Thunder, like they walk away with 2 guys from the first round and 3 future firsts.
How is that possible? How does that happen?
I mean, it is unbelievable. But the truth is the Thunder are still like, this is still step 1 for their rebuild. And they're still in asset accumulation mode. This is where they want to be. This is exactly where they want to be. They want to put themselves in position in the future to have as many options as possible. I'm sure they tried to trade up. And I think that Thunder fans were kind of hoping that they would. But really, like, credit to all 5 teams that did not trade with the Thunder. Because
right.
I think it's best that you just take a guy in the top 5 rather than take like a boatload of assets that are more of like a mystery box,
Right.
So,
yeah. All right, good to know. Final question here, and then we'll touch on some of the minor trades from yesterday. But this is always a fun one. TK, get us started. Favorite fit or moment from the draft last night? Where do you go?
Oh, easy winner for best dressed for me. Jalen Green showing up in luxury Balmain bell bottoms, dripping in jewelry. He had a lace shirt on. An incredible look. He said this was his backup outfit, looking like early Michael Jackson 5 era, off the wall era, maybe a little bit like David Bowie. This to me is like an all-time great draft fit. Maybe the best one we've seen since Joakim Noah. I loved this look. It was so flashy. It was so different. And it really just kind of like harkens back to an era where players really went for it. I remember like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He wore the crazy like floral embroidered suit. And this to me was kind of like in the same sort of zone where you're like, this is an NBA draft. I'm really going for it. Players in general have gotten a little bit too well dressed to make any mistakes that stand out in the draft. But this is something we're going to remember forever. And I think it looks legitimately awesome. I think he had an incredible look that we haven't seen at the draft before.
I have a question for you guys, especially for Andrew, because he probably watches this a lot more closely than I ever do. But was this the first time we ever had a catwalk at the draft? Like them all coming out like that, like at the beginning? Or did I miss that last year or the year prior, whenever we last did one of these?
I don't think there has been.
I don't think we've done that, right? Like where the player comes out, and we're sort of introduced with the family. I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
I watched the draft last night with Nora, my wife, who was like, she was really into that part because it was like, it was basically like an award show where I swear she only watches the Oscars or whatever, the Golden Globes, to see what everybody's wearing. I think that probably goes for a lot of people. So she was digging that. I wonder if they'll keep that, the catwalk there, which I think is new or first time. So anyway, I asked Nora, who was the best dressed in your opinion? And she went with 2 guys that she was feeling. One, Tass, she's all in on Scotty Barnes. Charismatic, she said.
I agree.
He's got it in spades. And TK, I thought you would like the turtleneck as well. You're a fan of the turtleneck. So
I'm not a fan of this turtleneck. I got to be honest.
Ooh, why? Okay, why?
It looks like he's wearing a neck brace.
Because of the color of it?
Yeah, because it's white and because you can kind of see through on the chest part of it. Not my favorite look from the night.
Okay. Okay. Well, you disagree with Nora on that one. She was like, "Oh, this is a fantastic look. He's got the what do you call it? A brooch? What do you even call these things? These guys are brooch.
Yep. I like that.
And then she was a fan of Kai Jones with the pink. She said that the fit could be a lot better, which I would agree with, but was a fan of the color. Overall, she said, like you said, Trey, a lot of these guys going for it.
Totally.
Like, well, I'm going to try and be different. And, outside of like Cade Cunningham sort of played it pretty chill. And he had a great moment later on. I think somebody's going to bring up. But anyway, those were the 2 that I'll go with. I like the turtleneck. I'm a fan of the turtleneck. I hear your criticism of it, or the color of it. I guess that you can see his chest through it. I didn't really even notice that. I thought
Like if you're just looking at the neck, it looks like a neck brace because that's a tall turtleneck
Very
too.
tall.
Like it's going up almost onto his jaw. I'd also shout out Jonathan Kuminga rocking the orange suit last night, looking like Lloyd Christmas out there. I loved it.
yeah, he's sort of is that him here? He's
Yeah,
sort of
there he
showing
is.
up.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, hilarious. Okay.
I think Scotty Barnes, there's potential there because the bottom part of the turtleneck is sheer. All we're seeing though is just what you can see beyond the suit. I wonder if that's a sewn in garment to the actual.
You think that's a dickie?
That's possible.
It's a pullover suit jacket.
Yeah,
Amazing.
You clip it on there. I think it looks great. It's unfortunate for him. We're seeing this on YouTube here. You get the full view here.
No, I'll give you
those
shoes.
really wrinkled pants.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I've
that's
been
tough.
there, man. It is
Yeah.
tough. You sat down all night. You look good. No one sees the wrinkle when you sit down. Then you get up and look at those things.
Andrew, what about you? Do you have a favorite fit or moment from last night?
Yeah, I just think the Josh Giddey moment overall is perfect. You have the Lee Ellis element of it. You have the fact that an OKC blogger accidentally asked him if he pooped on his Zoom call on Friday.
Yeah.
So he is like officially like the poop guy here in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
And
Hold on.
he's
Tass
also,
doesn't know this story. Just
you don't know this story.
Maybe for the people that don't know, and Tass,
Okay.
tell the story really quick.
You're right. I have no idea about this
pretty
poop
funny.
situation.
So on Friday, all the draft guys did their Zoom calls with reporters and people like that. And so an OKC blogger didn't know that his Zoom microphone was on, and he's with his 1-year-old son. And you can hear him just clear as day say, "Oh, did you poop?" And Giddey just stops and he's like, and then he just keeps going. Like, it was amazing. So
Wow.
I was this close to starting a poop guy chant at the draft party last night. So there's that. And then he is New Age Thunder. Like the Thunder are drafting guys and bringing guys in that can all shoot, pass, and dribble. Guys that can all grab the ball off the rim and run. That's what they want. That's the kind of player that they want. And they continued that trend last night with taking Josh Giddey.
There you go.
Have you considered renaming your podcast Down to Dump?
Down to well, we've had people that don't like us call us that. So
We're reclaiming it.
Yeah.
right.
Tass, take us home here. Favorite fit or moment from last night?
Well, I would say that the NBA did it right when they made Terrence Clark an honorary draft pick in the middle of the draft. Terrence Clark declared for the draft this year, and then a couple days later passed away in a car crash. Kentucky one-year guy would have been drafted, and so heartbreaking for his family, obviously, to be there at the draft. But I think the NBA did right by them by bringing them up and making Terrence Clark an honorary draft pick. So a very, very, very heartwarming moment, and something that needed to be done in the NBA. I think did it pretty well, and he's such a freaking beacon of light. He's the smile, even in the photos now. They still just get me every single time. He just seemed like such a great kid, and at 19 years old, almost achieved his dream. But in a way, the NBA did get him there. So it was very, very difficult to watch that.
Yeah. But I think the NBA did a great job honoring him for sure, and the family, getting them up on stage and stuff like that. Okay, let's well, I was going to take a break, but you know what? Let's just sort of quickly go through these trades that also happened. The one is interesting. The Suns getting Landry Shamet, the Nets getting Javon Carter, and the number 29 pick. Tass, I don't think we'll go super long on this, but what'd you make of this Suns Nets deal from either side?
I think both teams win this trade. Javon Carter is a guy who's buried on the Suns bench. never played in the finals. I don't know how many minutes he got throughout the postseason, but basically garbage minutes. But I think he would have actually helped the Nets a lot just to get Kevin Durant off the freaking ball a little bit. Now they do have Kyrie and they do have James Harden, but at the same time, getting him a solid guy, as well as the number 29 pick. Who they got an offensive rebounding machine out of that number 29 pick. So I think those two guys will work really well off the bench. And Shamet, will always have a role in this league as a shooter. And so, he could play with Campaign. He can play with anybody. So I think in a way, you got enough shooting in Brooklyn, so you trade Landry Shamet, but you want somebody to be on the ball a little bit. Javon Carter helps out there.
I love Javon Carter. I've said this before. I think maybe we were talking about it last draft, or when he got drafted. I was like, this guy's great. He just feels like the type of guy that's going to be on your team when you win a championship at some point. Like he'll be your second or third guard coming in there, and he can shoot. He's a 38% 3-point shooter on 400 attempts in the league. And of course he's known for defense. It makes sense. It fits. Shamet, I'm with you. He'll contribute on Phoenix. So this was a fine deal to me as a minor deal. TK, anything to add to this one?
Nope.
No, I didn't think so. Andrew, What about you?
They got Daron Sharp, who played with Cade Cunningham in high school. So they just got another recruiting tool.
Ooh,
everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the 29th pick because I just called him an offensive rebounding machine. I didn't even know his name. I went,
How far in did you watch last night, Tess? When do you call it?
About there.
Okay, you almost went the full first round.
When I can see when the end of the first round's on the horizon, I'm done.
Okay.
Although it's the shortest of the major drafts, second round.
All right.
Hey, only one night for the NBA. That's impressive, right? Every other sports league goes 100 nights.
Yeah.
The
Trey,
NFL
were you
draft
sticking
is
around for
900.
the Bulls pick there in the second round?
That's when I shut it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Olympics, they were showing the women's all-around final, right, which had been clearly decided earlier in the day, so not as much intrigue there. So, I had to stick around to see the Bulls draft the Chicago guy.
And you're at a party, Andrew. How long does this thing go for? All the way through to the 60th pick? Real sickos?
Yes, we had some real sickos sticking around for the whole thing, but most people left after the Trey Man pick with just like head down, shaking their head, or just shrugging, walking out.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, and some other deals. I'm just gonna lump these all together. Tass, you can address all of them or none of them if you want. We had the Cavs acquiring Ricky Rubio from the Wolves for Taurean Prince and a 2022 second-round pick. We had, I already said this one, the Hornets getting Mason Plumlee and the 37th pick in exchange the 57th pick going to Detroit. And I believe that's it. I mean, we had Favors traded to OKC here this morning because Sam Presti, he can't help himself. So of all these other little minor deals, and there's other ones in terms of pick swaps and stuff like that, but what stuck out to you, Tass?
Well, it just reminds me of teams messing up in free agency. Really, I'm looking forward to this next week and seeing what teams do, because it was only a year ago the Pistons signed Mason Plumlee. Then they got to trade him to the Hornets to get White. The Hornets want to get White, as Trey said a little bit later, but they have to drop 20 picks to get rid of his contract. So it's just a sign that sometimes these contracts don't work out, and you gotta get rid of them real quick. Same with the Derek Favors scenario. You had to attach a first-round pick to him to get rid of his contract after signing it just a year ago. So that's just on my radar for next week.
Right.
These are the types of contracts that you don't want unless you're the Hornets and you want to go White and you want to get Mason Plumlee on your team. And then the Ricky Rubio thing. I initially felt bad for Ricky Rubio. Such a good dude. Now he's on the Cavs, but then I kind of go the other way. I vacillate the other way. Maybe. There's an all-star appearance there for Ricky Rubio in the Eastern Conference. I know it's crazy. But no. I know, but what? Come on. Think this. It's the East. 1, 2. Couldn't it be like a D'Angelo Russell with the Nets situation where this team just overachieves and they pick their best player? Now it could be Kevin Love or whatever. I think Colin Sexton's going to move on, but I think I think this team could be decent with Jared Allen and their pick yesterday. Like they've got parts. They've got parts. Anyways.
All their parts play the same positions, which is weird to me. That was the weird thing to me with this trade is like you drafted Evan Mobley when you're going to be re-signing Jared Allen or moving on from Jared Allen. Fine. That you got to do. The third pick in the draft. I'm a big Mobley fan. He looks like he's going to be good. But they are bringing in Rubio, a point guard who could play alongside Sexton. He could play alongside Garland. But that then means you're taking one of those guys off the court. Does that mean Sexton is gone? Like, are they just ready to move on from Sexton? If so,
probably.
That's an L for Cleveland, I think, because that was the last piece from the Kyrie Irving trade, right? Was getting that number 8 pick. It turned into Colin Sexton. He made a run at the All-Star game last year, and they're ready to move on from him. It's just odd to me. I'm just kind of confused what Cleveland is doing. They have a lot of pieces there. It doesn't seem like they all necessarily fit together, but they're working on that, I suppose.
Yeah. The Evan Mobley thing, I get it. Maybe can't play with Jared Allen, but they think he is Evan Mobley enough to play with them. And so maybe the 4-5 works out there. Maybe. Listen, I don't know.
Well, he's also so skinny right now, too. So Mobley's probably fine playing the 4 for now. And like Jared Allen, he's good. He's going to be a solid player. I would have liked to see him on Team USA over JaVale McGee, but he also kind of feels like the guy that teams are going to move on from when they feel like they can upgrade quite a few times.
Yeah, all of these minor deals were all motivated by money because from Minnesota's side of things with Rubio, I mean, this was just cap management. It's all it was. As simple as that. Prince makes less than Rubio here, and you're going to have like $5 million in savings. And there you go. That's why they're doing it. Him reunited with Kevin Love is a fun little twist there. I saw people sharing the Slam magazine cover of Rubio and Love back in their Wolves days. I had forgotten about that one. And I like a guy named Prince playing in Minnesota. Just feels right, as others were pointing out as well. So, yeah, minor deals, and there'll be a lot more of these. But good point on teams like signing these guys at times, Task, like with the Plumlee, and going, damn, we gotta take our loss here, and it's probably gonna cost us a pick or at least a higher pick to get off of it. And that's exactly what Detroit did, and I don't really blame them, I guess. It was bad at the time, and that's what everybody was saying. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you signing Plumlee to all that money? Jerry and Grant, sure, that's fine. Plumlee, what? But anyway, they moved on, and the Hornets got their guy, especially if Zeller moves on. Final news here. Actually, you know what? Let's take a break, Andrew. Then I'll get to this little bit of news, and we'll do tweet of the night. Sports are about more than stats and scores, as we're talking about here. They're about the people and the stories. And The Lead is a daily sports podcast from Wondery and The Athletic that dives into the biggest sports stories of the day, as told by one of The Athletic's reporters who is covering that story up close. It's brilliant. And for the next few weeks, The Lead is turning its attention to the race for gold in Japan, covering stories like the 17-year-old who broke a Usain Bolt record. Whoa! And at the games, who is and isn't a woman, what life is like as a trans athlete. Every weekday, The Lead goes beyond last night's scores to bring you in the most interesting stories that take place at the intersection of sports and culture, all in about 15 minutes each day. Love that. They just had one about Carissa Moore, a 4-time world champion surfer who just won gold at the Tokyo Olympics. I believe that happened today over in Japan. Fascinating look this podcast is at like her training and her mindset and her dad, who's her coach. Highly recommend it. Follow The Lead on Amazon Music, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts.
Real talk here. I know many people don't think they need help until they have some kind of breakdown or panic attack, but there are other types of anxiety scenarios that can be avoided. If your stress is high, your temper is shorter than usual, or if you're starting to feel strain in any of your relationships, you could probably use the chance to unload. You need to. Unload the stressors, and get some unbiased feedback. You'd be pretty surprised at what you might gain from it. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. That's a cool feature. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. See if it's for you. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and No Dunks listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/nodunks. That's BETTERHELP.com/nodunks.
Okay, back with No Dunks. A little news, just quickly. It's official. The NBA's milestone 75th anniversary season will soon feature a list of the 75 greatest players in league history. Yeah, we were talking about this. The announcement will occur this October. So we still got lots of time this summer to do our podcast, make our own list, our 25 editions. You know, Lee got us started already with I believe it was like his 12 automatic editions, and he raised a few eyebrows. I remember having Grant Hill and Dennis Rodman like in there right away, and everyone was like, whoa, seriously? Maybe a little reach on at least one of those guys. But anyway, we'll do that podcast later. According to the NBA press release, the storied list will be created by, I love this part, a blue ribbon panel of media, current and former players, coaches, general managers, and team executives. So anyway, this is fun news. We're going to get the list in October, 75 greatest players in NBA history. And then one would assume that they'll have them all out there on center court, maybe in leather jackets, maybe not, in Cleveland, which is the location of the 2022 All-Star Game, which is fitting because that's where we did the 50 greatest players of all time back in 97. So not much else to add to that. We will do our list. Sorry, go ahead.
Just two big questions, Skeets. You nailed one of them. Will they get the jackets at the All-Star Game? My guess is yes. Everybody wants to see him. They'll do something. And number two, is this going to be a completely new list of 75 players, or is it going to be an add 25 to the current 50? Like, is Dave Bing in trouble of being dropped from the top 75 list? Is Bill Sharman going to make it this time around? Because there's been a lot of very good players that you would put into the top 75.
Yeah.
There's probably been more than 25 players in the past 25 years that you would add to the top 75 all time. I don't know. We shall see.
I don't see them doing basically what you're saying. Yeah. Is are they going to take the 50 greatest players list and rip it up and we just start all over again 75? I would like that, I guess, but I'm skeptical the NBA does that. Tass, I don't know if you have an opinion on it. I think we'll just be naming 25 new guys, making up for some of the glaring omissions from the first time, you know, Dominique Wilkins and so on, and then adding, you know, the LeBrons and the Kobes and stuff like that. But maybe TK's right. Maybe they're crazy. What are you doing, Silver? You got the balls to rip up the list?
Yeah, don't be soft like Bill Sharman. Rip it up, baby. No, there's no way. There's no way they rip it up.
No.
They just add 25 guys. Now, they might go back and correct some of the guys that should have been on there, like Dominique Wilkins. Yeah. Gets squeezed in there, but I think Bing's okay. I think Sharman's all right.
Nope. Here we go. This is from Mark Stein last night. The NBA, I'm told, will release an all-new top 75 players when the list is unveiled in October, meaning that players listed among the league's original top 50 revealed in 1997 are not all automatically assured of a spot in the top 75. Okay. That list is already in the Hall of Fame. If you made that top 50, you're still one of the top 50 players ever. 50 years into the NBA. The game is changing, though.
That's true.
Sorry, Bill.
Wow, Bill's gone. Okay, that's
wow.
I can't believe they're doing that. I like it. I mean, it opens it up for even more debate, of course.
Oh, so baby, yeah.
We're going to do a whole week of podcasts on this now. I thought we were just going to have to add 25 guys. Now we got to do the complete 75? Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Forget Lee Ellis. We're getting Dickie Ellis on the podcast to tell us which 12 players from the top 50 are automatically off the list.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a good podcast. Which 10 guys are we cutting instantly?
The cuts.
Let's go. All right. Okay. Good stuff. Way to clarify that, TK. All right. We're going long here, but let's wrap this up with a little tweet of the night.
Tweet of the night. Wow.
Twitter.
Now I hate mocking a fellow talker of the mic. I hate doing that. However, Kendrick Perkins, when he was trying to say Moses Moody. The name is Moses Moody. It ain't that difficult. The number 14 pick who went to Golden State, guy from Arkansas, selected, and Kendrick Perkins on the broadcast last night on ESPN just wanted to say Moses Moody, but this is how he put it.
When you look at Moses Moody.
Oh, come on. That's amazing. that really happened. Reese Davis saves him at the end. And then Kendrick Perkins said, I can say Moses Moody a little bit later on in the broadcast and clarified it. But that was an amazing, 7 seconds of pure gold. Let's hear it one more time, Andrew.
When you look at Moses Moody.
Come on. He leaned into the bit right after the second time he screwed it up. That's incredible.
Modi Moosey. That's an awesome nickname.
What a freestyle. Yeah, he's just dropping every syllable in every possible combination.
It was it's like the Dumb and Dumber skit where he's got the briefcase. So he's swimming, swimming. That's what he's doing. He's doing the Samsonite joke from Dumb and Dumber. So Tass, I'm curious. Were you watching the ESPN broadcast or the ABC broadcast? I mean, Perk was on ESPN.
Yeah.
Okay, you were watching that one.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even realize there was an ABC broadcast.
We had Jalen Rose. We had.
But they were also on the ESPN broadcast. Maybe I was switching back and forth at times when I was watching on my Apple TV, and the feed would cut out because then I would just go back in. They're basically right beside each other. They look like they're identical because I was seeing Shanae and Jalen as well.
Yeah.
Oh, so those are totally two separate broadcasts.
Two. Like I think the idea was the ABC one was more of the video packages. Let's talk to the family. Let's get that backstory. Where the ESPN was Perk going up, and I guess supposed to be more like analytically driven. Though, I mean, I sort of went back and forth. Didn't seem to be the biggest difference between the two in terms of like the style of covering the draft. Trey, is that fair to say?
Yeah, I guess you're getting a little bit more of the human interest on the ABC broadcast. They were also coming through with one-word traits. I think Josh Giddey's was X-ray vision. Pretty impressive. This guy can see through people. I love it.
Giddey had maybe the worst fit of the night. I know I don't have a photo in front of me. He was low on Nora's power rankings in terms of style. Though I was like, that's perfect. I mean, he's an Australian. Have you seen Lee Ellis dress? I mean, it's got a suit. Throw this on. That's fine. Good enough. I think he had some kicks going with it too, if I remember. Hilarious. Okay, we'll call it there. Lots of fun. Thanks to the stream team for joining us live here. Big numbers here. Makes sense. Everybody wants the reaction to the Westbrook trade and the reaction to the NBA draft. Thanks for joining us. If you don't subscribe to No Dunks on YouTube, take a second, do it. Smash that like button. Leave a comment below the vid. Help us defeat the algorithm. Send in your NBA and non-NBA questions for our next Beach Steppin' podcast. We'll hit the beach next week, I'm sure. Email them in, nodunks@theathletic.com. Grab yourself an Athletic subscription. If you haven't already, go to theathletic.com/nodunks. And immaculate items always available for sale over at nodunks.com. Andrew, my man, thank you so much for filling in this week for JD, who was away on vacation at the cottage. I hope you had a fun time, outside of trying to post the damn show to Apple.
It's been great. I don't know if I've told you guys this. I told JD this. I've been listening to you guys since the days where you had to plug your iPod into your computer to be able to take your podcast with you.
Wow.
So I've been listening to you guys since college. So this is it's very surreal to be able to work with you guys. I've loved it.
Well, you've been fantastic. Stream team, give a thumbs up to Andrew for an awesome job this week. Thanks so much, man. My one worry, not a worry actually, because you're so great and you know the hoops, Andrew, is JD now is going to be like taking a week off every 2 months.
Right.
No, show can go on. Andrew killed it. All right, see ya. So you know what? JD works a lot, so maybe that's a good thing. So we can hopefully have you back, is what I'm getting at, Andrew, to fill in down the line again.
That'd be great. I'd love to.
Yeah, right, super guys. Fun week.
Yeah, it was a blast. We will be back. I think we're going to be back on Monday. We obviously have free agency coming up, so there's going to be a lot of No Dunk shows still. Lee will be back. We'll talk to him about Giddey. Maybe he's got some more sources for us and more breaking scoops that he can drop on us, bombs, so to speak. So we'll talk to him, and JD should be back. So we'll be back next week. Everybody stay safe. Have a great weekend. Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Yes. One more thanks to Andrew. Thank you for joining us, everybody out there. And remember, we know nothing about the draft.
Embrace the weekend, people.
You could stay, ooh, every day, and I'd be happy every minute.